Welcome back, everybody. SF Live episode number 84 this morning. We've just been having a laugh off mic here before we got started, so that's why I'm smiling all over my face. It's fantastic. I've known the guys we're interviewing for a while now, Gareth Thomas and Sean Thompson off Westhaven. Gareth is the CEO, Sean is VP Corp Development and IR. But before we switch over, please be reminded this is a live format. We're using hashtag AskWHN for your questions. We got a couple in already that we'll get to at the end of our conversation with Gareth and Sean. Also, hit the alert button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit the follow button, hit every button you can find that gives us some bit of feedback, and also comment on YouTube, here on Twitter. What do you think about the company? What do you think we should do better here in SF Live? It's really important to hear. Also, one thing I'd like to mention before we get started as well, we're not being paid for our interviews. It's really important, but we are working on other things, and Westhaven is a participant in the Deutsche Goldmesse this year. This is our first time event, so happy to announce this here as well during this interview. Make sure to sign up at deutschegoldmesse.online. It's an online event, so more information you can find there as well. We've got excellent keynote speakers, Rob McEwen, Rick Rule, and others joining us. So now, enough of me yapping. Let's switch over to Gareth Thomas and Sean Thompson. Gentlemen, good morning, officially. How is everything going? How are you?
Fantastic. Let's remind everyone what we're laughing about. So we're laughing about coffee mugs this morning. So mine has crypto and weed scratched out, and then it just says gold. A friend gave me this, and Kai's got the, what do you call it?
Hashtag flannel mug right there.
Flannel mug. Okay, so we're starting the day with coffee. This is a good day.
Oh, it's fantastic. The sun is out here in Vancouver. We're having a great time. I actually have to close the blinds again because it got too bright. So we're all in a good mood here because you guys hit as well. And we're going to get to that in a second. Super exciting news out of you guys late last week. But Sean, before we get started, we have a couple of new viewers. Run us through the Westhaven story in 60 seconds or less, and then we'll get into the updates.
My pleasure. Just to set the stage, we've got a high-grade gold discovery off a highway in Canada. This is a brand new gold belt in south central BC. We've got four big properties across this brand new belt. It's not the Golden Triangle, and we've already made a high-grade gold discovery. We had 18 meters of 25 grams was in late 2018. That followed up with other high-grade hits. We had 14 meters of 40, 46 meters of 10. So a really nice high-grade gold discovery close to the town of Merritt. We've got access to power and people and infrastructure and roads. Location-wise, this is an absolutely ideal place to be. Management owns 30% of the stock, so we've got a lot of skin in the game. We really care about where shareholder dollars are spent, and for us, that's in the ground with the drill bit. We're doing everything in our power right now to maximize shareholder value, because that's how we get paid, is with share price appreciation. And this new discovery at Franz has really kicked that off. And I'm going to let Gareth talk about that, because that is exciting.
Fantastic. And let's dive right into that as well. We've done here at SF Live, we've done an interview in April with the two of you. Then we've been on site June 12th, if I remember correctly. We've done a video there as well, or we uploaded June 12th, so it was around early June. We were talking about 30,000 meters of drilling, and you put out quite a bit of results since then. Let's start historically, though. Let's not jump to the highlight just yet. Let's sort of talk about what happened since June. You put out some results from the Lear zone as well. Catch us up on that. How many meters have you drilled, and all those details?
Sure. Yeah, and thanks again for having us today, Kai. We're actually nearing, as we speak, 30,000 meters, which we set out to do earlier this year to find another south zone, if you will. And, of course, we'll touch on that shortly. But, for a lot of this business, and of course we get asked the question all the time, with the price of gold going, all these companies making sort of not phenomenal discoveries, yet their stocks going up, and why is Westhaven kind of where it is, just trading sideways? And the real question for that, it's not an excuse, but it's people want you to hit that. You're only as good as your last drill hole, and as Sean was saying there earlier, our goal this year is to find more south zones. We weren't cherry picking high grade assays. We could easily go back and tighten our infill spacing at the south zone. Our goal was to find another south zone ish body, and we've done that now with the Franz. But until then, to answer your question about the remainder of the year, we're testing a lot of targets which are fairly they're aggressive, if you will. We've done a CSAMT survey, 3 by 5 kilometer, which is we're just getting back preliminary data from that, where we have a full-time geophysicist working on that. It shows up the resistivity of the rocks is very important as we're looking for something like quartz-like, which is very resistive. So that's being helpful with an area with not a ton of rock exposure. And the fact we found this Franz, almost 10 years after acquiring this property is just goes to show how underexplored this property really is. So we're putting all these tools together, the CSAMT, prospecting, mapping. We did a full LiDAR survey. Like we're drilling some targets that, like I said, are fairly, you never want to say they're arm wavers or tire kickers, but you got to drill a lot to see what we're looking at there. And we've had some pretty lackluster results drilling the 20, just to be very honest and blunt. But this is exploration, and we're going to find more of these Franz zones. And I know it's hard to say that to people when in this business, it's not, patience isn't always the big thing on people's mind, and that's completely understandable. But we certainly have got our claws into something here at Franz, and we're hoping to connect the dots between Franz and the tower zone down to the south zone, and while we're looking for other targets.
No, fantastic. Yeah, it's like patience seemed to run out with one of the investors as well, because your share price dipped down to 70 cents at one point. So somebody must have been selling a bigger position. We're going to get to the capital market side in a minute here. So the Franz zones, like, I'm quite curious, like, how did the discovery process work for you guys? Like, obviously, you don't start with a drill. You actually have a prospecting program or something first. Like, run us through that real quick. How did you come up with the Franz target, and that made you ultimately decide to put a drill hole in it as well?
Yeah, good question. So the Franz was discovered really in mid-August. It's a little less than a month old, in fact, or a little over a month, I should say, from the day our young geologist, Barry Penner, discovered it from Peter's. Peter recommended that, or had some prospectors go to that area as we're sort of trending in that direction as we're drilling. And we hadn't had a lot of work to the north. So Barry went off there in a day. We started seeing pictures. Peter was, I think, out of town. I was out of town. But he was fairly modest with what he was seeing. But by the time we went up there the day after, and it was like, holy, this is the fact that we hadn't seen this. And in fact, there'd been two soil lines 100 meters to either side of this outcrop. So it just goes to show how, I mean, it's often like a needle and trying to find a needle in a haystack, pardon the pun, but that's kind of this area. And you really have to be, it just shows how important the little things like prospecting and mapping really are. Sometimes we're often prospecting with the drill, but it's important to know there's still a lot of things here that remain to be discovered. So then we Barry took very non-selective, unbiased samples from around there. Just took 10 in that first day. We rushed those to the lab, and then lo and behold, we came back with up to 51 grams per ton gold. But a really nice, we had some, not still anomalous, but down to 0.37 grams per ton and up to 51. So it was a nice little spectrum of rock, of course, very nice textures. Then we were, of course, rushing to drill it then. And we've now put in about 8 holes into the Franz. So lots of news coming out from there as well. So we're obviously 7.78 meters of almost 15 grams per ton gold, up to 50 grams per ton in the drilling. So yeah, very, very excited to follow up along there as well.
Pretty good results from the first hole of that Franz drill program, and lots more holes to come, lots more assays in the lab, and news pending. So
what has been the turnaround time on the first hole there? Just quite.
It was about two weeks. So we rushed those, which you're obviously paying. You're paying a significant amount more. But for us in this situation, where one, we wanted to see if we're going to continue on working here. You can often people ask, well, you're seeing the core, you know what it looks like, and sometimes it's not as easy to decipher what you are. But we knew here that we certainly had very similar looking stuff to the high grade South Zone discovery. So of course we wanted to make sure that was put the truth machine on it, which you never know the widths and how big, but to get the 2 zones there, actually we got a deeper 16 meters of almost 2.5 grams. There's another, bit of both directions from there right now, and doing some DC resistivity geophysics on top of it now, which is actually showing up some very nice looking anomalies there as well.
Like, how many drills do you have on the project right now, and what other targets have you prioritized fairly high right now?
We got 3 turning right now. We had a bit of a break. We're getting the one kind of our number one drill there, a very good producer of core. We're getting that sort of fixed up for a few days, but we're back to 3. We have one currently south of the south zone, kind of in an area we called Target D last year, which is, I think, referred to as Jessica. We're testing some of these CSAMT anomalies along with some other. There's some geochemistry. There's some, and we're looking at ground magnetics as well. Then we got the second rig is up around the tower zone, or the forget-me-not, which is right along trend to the forget-me-not. So we're hoping to sort of take the 2 drills together there and see what's between there. So, and we're also bringing that drill that's south of the south zone up to the north to a zone called Portia, I think it is, Sean, to the north of where we are. Would be the most sort of northerly drill hole we've drilled. So we'll have the 3 rigs working up there. Then we're also looking to test the target quite a ways out to the east, about 4 kilometers. We have a hydrothermal outcropping about a kilometer and a half long. This just goes to show the size of this property that remains. So we finally did some geophysics over there. We were very busy doing geophysics around in and around the south zone and to the north. So we got the team out there, the crew, I should say, doing geophysics on the Romeo, which Ed Ballon, on our guy who really discovered this whole belt. That's his sort of discovery there. It's a high in arsenic, a heavy high arsenic in soil and rocks, and some gold as well. So it's the right looking, upper levels, we hope, of an epithermal system. So we'll keen to test that as well.
And Kai, it's good to remind people that Peter Fischel, who was at Kinross with 5 kilometer vein of not the whole thing wasn't mineralized, but had these pockets of high grade. There's multi-million ounces of high grade at that site, and Peter's seeing similar things here now. The south zone connecting to Franz, this is 4 or 5 kilometers of strike that's yet to be tested, and we got to fill in the gaps. So we could be looking at a massive vein here that just keeps going, and there could be more of these vein swarms on the property. The footprint is tiny. Shovelnose is huge. And this is only one property of the 4 along this belt, where Skunka, another property we have, there was 20 grams drilled there over 13 meters. So we haven't even got there. It's early days, grassroots exploration, high-grade gold at surface at Franz. It's a lot more work to be done.
And where are you at in terms of, I just dropped my line here. Like, one thing I always could talk about resource estimation as well. But how did the results? That's the original question. How did the results recently impact sort of your drilling plans and schedules? When we talked in June, you were talking about 30,000 meters of drilling. How has the Franz discovered sort of the plans there? Like, where are you sitting cash wise and budget wise as well, to be able to expand on that?
Yeah, so we're as mentioned there, we're over 30,000 meters, and that was our goal from the start of the year. No. Of course, people who know us and been with us for a while, whether we're plan to drill 1,000 meters and we end up drilling 1,500 or 2,000, we tend to go over, and that's not because we're poor at budgeting or poor at what it is when we discover something like this, we obviously want to find out pretty quick what's there and what we have to. But money wise, we're doing quite well. I think we have about $3.5 million in the bank. Our working capital, I should say. Then we're certainly good to the end of the year and early into next year. We were, as you probably would remember, Kai, we were discussing drilling our Skunka property, which up until Franz, we were pretty keen to get there, as we want to test that. But now with the discovery of this, and just with the season there, it's a little it's not as accessible as Shovelnose. Still road accessible, still very, but just planning there, getting the water is a bit of an issue this time of year. The areas are quite dry, so we're still looking to do that. But if not this year, it's probably likely going to be in the spring, where we have a lot more accessible water. But the Franz, like I said, we'd be hard for us to take our resources or drills off of this to go elsewhere at this point. But for next year, we're certainly going to be planning. In fact, we're meeting on this Friday up in Merritt for a management meeting to discuss even a scenario where we may look to do a resource on the south zone. And then once again, with the addition of the Franz, it kind of gives us a bit more confidence in to do that, as we I think people want the confidence in this to know what is there in the ground, especially some of the, the funds and stuff we talk to. They want to have that in the back of their mind that there is. I won't put a number out there, but we've certainly done some back of the envelope calculations. A lot of other people have. So that's something we're looking, and that would require 20,000 plus meters just in the south zone to tighten up those. We've never drilled closer than 50 meters, which people should really remember there too. So we're obviously going to be drilling.
Well, remember, our drilling costs are low. Our drilling costs are half our peers. We're drilling at 190 a meter, so we get a lot of efficiency out of our drilling. So our treasury can last, well to the end of the year here. That's a big advantage of us. Again, given our location, road network, power, close to a town of Merritt, lots of infrastructure, off a major highway. It's a rare, unique location. And it has big cost advantages for us in terms of drilling.
Now, I like hearing actually that you're way more confident in putting a resource out now. When we were on site in June, you were quite cautious. Like, you might put a lid on things and you might value yourself at maybe too low of a price. But now with the Franz discovery, it seems like momentum is shifting. You're gaining, because you had a threshold that you tried to get over internally as well, in terms of ounces to make sense to put out a resource. It seems like that Franz discovery sort of helped trigger that confidence.
Yeah, well, as people say, and this is something obviously that's very important when you decide to, or if and when you decide to put out a resource, which we're usually adamant we don't necessarily want for, we want to find more of this, but it's really what are people's expectations? What are our expectations? That's the biggest thing when it comes to a resource. If people expect, 2 million ounces of high grade, then you're going, oh, do we have that to put out? And is it going to be a disappointment? Often they can be. So I think as long as we're clear with our expectations, and as Sean was saying there, our location it's like the new Franz is it's like 1.5 kilometers from the major highway. Like, we are so close to, that's what sometimes people forget here is like this. The value of this, I mean, everyone feels their stock's undervalued, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is it's probably often underestimated our location about where we are in terms of infrastructure. It's second
let's
to none.
Let's step away from a resource here for a second. We just got off several meetings at Precious Metals Summit, the conference there, the virtual one, and we've talked to corporates, major mining companies. We talked to investors and funds. They all want to see the same thing. They want to see the drill bit, right? They want to see high grade with the drill bit. They want to see the blue sky with exploration. And we just proved that with the Franz discovery. That, the corporates, the majors come in, they go, wow, you guys have proved there's lots of, high grade at the property with the south zone. You've proved that it's there. It's just a matter of scale. How much high grade is on this property? Are there other vein swarms, far enough away from south zone to make this worth our while? We've just proven that with Franz. It's a couple kilometers away from south zone. Brand new discovery. Lots more drilling to be done and small footprint. So, it's scale, it's size. It's not a matter of high grade on the property. It's how much high grade on the property. And we've just proven with Franz that there is more.
Yeah. And now we just got a question like 12 seconds ago here from James Quantas on Twitter using hashtag AskWHN. Is the plan to move the other two drills to Franz and test along strike?
Yeah, the plan right now was maybe James just to refresh there. So the one's down to the south of the south zone, and depending on what we see there, of course. But at the moment, we're planning to bring that one up to the north. So we'll have the 3 rigs in the north. Then the one that's at Franz, we're looking to. If I had a map, I could show you. But we're looking to move from the tower, which I know James has been to, and towards the Franz. So we're looking to sort of bring those. Well, we're also going to be testing the northwest extent of Franz too. So we're going to have two rigs in and around Franz and Tower. We'll be pretty active there with the 2 rigs till year end. Then the 3rd rig, that's where we're talking about going out to the Romeo, as well as some targets to the north there as well. And the CSAMT, I should just touch on that again in terms of targeting. We're still going through a lot of that. It's a very lot of data to process with the CSAMT, and these guys have been out there most of the summer, and they're busy. So we're working on getting the data, and we're getting good data. But we're going to have a lot of targets refined with that as well. So we're really working on the targets for the 3rd. But yeah, the 2 rigs will definitely be in and around the Franz to see how big this can be.
Okay, perfect. I got one more question because Peter was quite excited. Peter Fischel, your exploration manager there on the ground, quite excited about the Sherlock Target. And you mentioned you did some geophysics there in that area. You got to put a drill on there. Like, what's the plan for that target? Where does it stand now in the priority? Because he was super excited about that. Like, that was one of the most exciting targets when we were on the site visit back in June to take us there as well. And what's the status there?
We've actually tested Sherlock now with about 4 holes, and we didn't see much. We will have some results out soon, but we certainly didn't stick around there. We did do some CSAMT around there and tested. There were a couple of deep looking targets, but there was the zeolite, which can often be an indicator of some higher level, maybe a little bit high in the system, and hopefully something below, but. Not to say with 4 holes we write off a target, but I think we got pretty interested in the Franz, and hence we started moving that drill further to the north. But we were often seeing the right host rock, which is a rhyolite or a rhyolite tuff, and I'd say it's hard to write off. I mean, it took us 65 holes to get to a high grade hole here on Shovelnose over 8 years. So it's not to say none of these targets we will ever write off right away, but it's it's not something on the periphery there maybe, but there was nothing at depth in terms of that zeolite outcrop that you went to there. So that's just a bit on hold, I'd say, at this point, and while we focus up to the north.
No, fantastic. I really appreciate that honesty, like, because it is exploration. People don't seem to understand that. You can actually miss on something, right? Not every hole is a hit. I think even Fruta del Norte was hit on hole 64 or something like that. So, and as you said, it took you quite a few holes as well to make a discovery on Shovelnose. I think people are just a little more... they're just used to high-grade intercepts, but they don't understand how much work actually goes into it, and that there is actually a failure rate as well. Let's talk about real quick capital market side. Like, you got $3.5 million in the bank, which for me is not that much, but it lets you do quite a bit. Suspicion in the market is now that you're going to do a financing off the Franz results. Are you planning on adding more? Like, what's the status there? Like what are we looking at?
Yeah, and I'll. Sean may know a bit more of our actual. I think we're somewhere around 3.5 million. Sean, is that correct in terms of working cap? Yeah,
I think it's closer to 4. But remember, we're drilling at 190 a meter. We can stretch that money a lot more than our peers some of our peers are drilling at 400 a meter, right? So that money can last us until the end of the year. We've got more results coming from Franz, more holes in the lab, more assays pending. So stay tuned for that. And in terms of the treasury and topping it up, we'll discuss opportunities as they present themselves.
And we got lots of derivative. We got lots of warrants and options there that Sean Pollard, our CFO, obviously reminded us earlier today. Like, we have a significant amount of money that if we can get up a little bit higher here, which, to be honest, I thought we should have been higher. I don't. I'm not going to say what I think's going on there with, but I'll remain quiet on how I feel about anonymous trading. But I think people are in the back of their mind thinking that we have got to finance. And you know what? We've discussed this before. After we had our big discovery, we never financed right away, and maybe that was a mistake. We were obviously able to a few months later at around the same price, but we certainly, we're cognizant of the market and our shareholders and our great long-term supporters. We want to do what's best for the company, of course. But as we're just announced these results, we're still talking to many groups about the best way forward here for everybody.
We're big share. Remember, we're big share. 30% of the shares we own, so we care about dilution. We care about where money is spent. We care about all that stuff because the way we get paid is through share price appreciation. We own a lot of stocks, so.
No, the best you said is, like, you don't want to jump the gun prematurely because you got holes in the lab, eight holes or still outstanding from the Franz zone. So why do it right now? So perfect. No, that's a good answer to that. And it's like, I like putting people on the spot a little bit, poking the bear, see what comes out, right? To see what's going on there. I think we covered most topics. Like, we talked about exploration plans moving forward. Like, how many more meters are you planning to drill this year? Like, I don't think we've got a number on that. It's like, do you have something in mind there? Is there something scheduled?
We're, and this is, I was just up in Merritt most of last week and talking to Ryan, our VP operations there. He's obviously very up to speed on what we're drilling, how fast we're drilling, our price. The 3 rigs are working really well right now, and the price is coming down actually significantly from 190. Of course, we're getting lots of core, so we could easily be we will be 40,000 plus meters. Maybe I won't say 50, but we're going to be pretty close. Depending on how the season, when it gets a little colder and snow, we may get, but we're on pretty good pace right now with the 3 rigs. So and in terms of budgeting and things, like I said, we'll likely be coming out with a pretty clear, concise plan here. We haven't met as a board for a few weeks here, especially since the Franz results. So we're going to be talking about, like I said, next year, the potential of a resource, talking to a lot of our big sort of shareholders, seeing their opinion, where we were probably pretty against it a few months ago, but I think it's definitely more of a thought now. So we'll be discussing that, but that alone there could be 30,000 meters on a resource, and we could be seeing 60,000 plus meters next year. So yeah, and then of course the other 3 properties, which we are going to be doing a little bit of work at Prospect Valley this in the coming weeks as well, which we'll be touching on as well.
Fantastic. We have time for one more question, then we're running late again. It's like I always enjoy chatting.
Sure.
Once we get rolling, we get carried away. But have any other holes been rushed to the lab yet, or have they just gone normally?
There was some rock samples, and I think there was a hole from the tower. We are starting to see, and I think Peter, maybe he didn't mention his news, but we are starting to see some interesting veining things in the tower, which we weren't quite used to. We drilled. It was a sort of 50 meters of half gram is where we discovered in 2011 and started drilling that. There's a big body of lower grade stuff there, but we're starting to see more similar looking stuff, ginguru, and bladed quartz after calcite. You're starting to see the things you want to see in those areas. So Peter's are confident that this will, between Franz and the tower, we should start to see more and more as we're in a more of a preferred horizon there.
Okay. And tower is the northernmost target there as well. Is that refreshing? I don't have a map in front of me. That's why.
Tower would be, there's Tower, Forget Me Not, then the Franz is to the furthest to the northwest. So Tower and Franz are sort of they used to be the most northerly targets next to Franz. Then actually we have one further to the northeast called the Porsche, and that's what we'll be testing as well. Okay. So all drills will be up more into the north.
And Kai, I know we're really short on time, but let's just remind people, that Fruta del Norte, Hishikari, Silvercrest, all these notable low sulfidation, high-grade epithermal deposits in the world started like we started, with a high-grade discovery. It's early days. We're 120 million market cap. These other companies are in the billions. So it's early days. We got a lot of land to explore. We got a lot of property to explore, and the risk reward at this point, in terms of Westhaven at $1.20 or whatever we're trading at right now, is very favorable.
Fantastic. No, guys, that was a great update. I know holes are in the lab. They'll come out when they're ready. I don't think we have to do a big summary. I think that was pretty comprehensive in terms of news flow that's coming up. I think I've missed a couple of questions on Twitter, but we're out of time anyway. So, gentlemen, really appreciate that. It was very comprehensive. Really appreciate the honesty on missing holes. That's you don't see that too often. It's being sugar-coated too much in the industry, in my opinion. So, really appreciate that. And thanks for joining us this morning. And let's catch up again soon when you guys put out the next set of holes. Like, I'm really excited about this. I was there personally on site, so there's a personal attachment to it as well. So really appreciate that. Everybody else, thanks for your questions. It was fantastic. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, on YouTube. Hit the alert button, smash the comments, do all of that. Leave some feedback. Really appreciate that. And that's it from my end, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.